Minecraft 1.20 is in early development, and although the theme is likely locked in place, there is still lots they have to decide about this update, and so now is the time for feedback, now is the time for suggestions, and now is the time to share the 5 key categories of change that I think they have to address. And for everyone else who is coming along for this journey, just a reminder, Mojang have confirmed that they go through and they plan updates out 2 to 3 updates in advance. So the theme is set in stone, they know what they're working towards as the overarching theme. However, it is not guaranteed to be an end update. Even if you see other YouTubers putting out fake trailers and I'm sure making a ton of money from it, it's not what I'm going to be saying in this video because it's not confirmed or even necessarily true. However, the first of the key things is to lay the groundwork for a future end update or one involving dimensionality. I mean, in the same way that they started adding sub-biomes with 1.13, and this made adding the bamboo jungle much easier for 1.14, in the same way they added cave air so they could distinguish between caves and not caves, ready for a caves and cliffs update, I think they could do something like that with the end update. For instance, why is the height limit so different between the 3 dimensions? This is something I think they could fix quite easily for the end, because making that go up or down wouldn't really change anything. Also, why is lighting so different between dimensions? It's so confusing to me lighting up the end because it doesn't look like you're changing too much. And then the final thing obviously is to do with the teleportation system. The Nether and the overworld can be teleported into from any point in those 2 dimensions, but there's only one way in or out of the end, and so why not make teleportation part of the mechanic for the dimension itself? Right now we have these end portal gateways, why not make a way for you to craft those things or a way to use them in perhaps, like pre-programmed ways so you can make this one of the dimensions where you're actively hopping around it. I think playing into the end being a distinct and quirky dimension is something that's important whether or not 1.20 is an end update. Something else that's important whether or not this is an end update is inventory slots. Whatever comes in 1.20, there are guaranteed to be new items, and some of those items will be obtainable in the early game. Even if it's an end update, we know there's going to be a brand new animal to kill, tame, or put uncomfortably close to you in your boat, and so given that that's true, we need to deal with inventory slots because there's going to be more items, and we've had the same 36 slots since there were literally 10 times fewer. At this point, it's ludicrous. If you're going anywhere to do anything, you are going to end up with a full inventory, and if you're me, you're going to get it in the first 20 seconds of your trip and then be uncomfortable as you try to deal with all these items that you're not sure if they have value. And so as a result of that, I think that clearly the bundle would have been a good solution, but they've decided against it. So let's work out other solutions to the inventory slot crisis. I don't mind what they go with, but if a backpack doesn't work, because they've turned down the idea of a backpack time after time after time, even though I think it's a good one, I think we could also go with trouser pockets. So when you're wearing leather pants, perhaps you could carry a few extra items. Or if you want to do this via the enchantment, perhaps you could make it a chestplate enchantment, and that would make the decision between elytra for speed or chestplate for carrying capacity even more interesting, right? I like the idea of them making more interesting decisions with the inventory improvement, although I have to say, as a player, obviously I just want a whole nother row of items, but if you can't give me that, you want to make it interesting and there to be decisions involved, why not make specific item slots? We have an offhand right now, they considered adding an arrow slot, why don't we have a dedicated arrow slot? Why don't we have a dedicated potion slot? Why don't we have a dedicated slot for the bucket, since they're OP and you need them all the time anyway? If Mojang didn't think that, we wouldn't have 12 different buckets by now, and so why don't we work out different inventory slots for different things, or enchantments that could give you more of these, or we could just go all the way and we could have the backpack. I don't really mind which one it is, but I really think inventory slots are one of the things they need to address in this update, no matter what. The wild update's already gone too far without adding these. We need inventory slot improvements, and we need them probably a few updates ago, just like I think we could really do with some structure work. Structures are one of my favorite things about Minecraft because they really separate different seeds from each other. Seriously, every savannah can kind of just feel like it's the same, but the thing that makes every seed feel especially distinct and unique are these structures which you find all over the place at different points on different seeds, also in different biomes. As a casual player, different structures mean new exploration experiences, and as someone who knows the game quite well, it's an opportunity to think like, okay, I need this thing, I might have to go to that biome. I think it's great, and I also think it's no surprise that every update has included some form of major structure. Look at 1.13 with its shipwrecks and its ocean ruins. Look at 1.14 entirely changing the villages. 1.16 with its bastions, and 1.19 with its massive, like underground deep dark cities. I think when we add new structures to the game, we improve the richness of Minecraft. And when you look at the current list of biomes that have a structure, this is my high quality graph that I made myself. As you can see, most biomes do not have their own structure. Also, the desert just has 3 structures, even though every other one only has 1. It's very very confusing for that reason, but I think that all of the biomes that don't have a structure, or the majority of them, could benefit from having one, and at the bare minimum, if we're going to add something like the mangrove swamp, we're going to update the overworld with more sub-biomes, it's important to give them some form of extra unique identity, which I think a structure can really provide. Even the witch's hut is tiny, but it gives people these weird opportunities to do witch farming. The only structure you can look at and say it genuinely provides no gameplay value for anyone is the desert well, besides being obviously the most beautiful structure in the game. I love you, desert well, baby, come back. But even though I know it would be very tricky to do, just taking every single biome and saying, let's throw a structure in there, like these 16 right here, and then just picking the 2 or 3 best ones that you think would actually add to the game. Wouldn't those mushrooms be weird? Wouldn't those ice spikes, whatever that is that a rocket ship? You know what, like adding different things to the game, like seeing what works, trying to add a dozen or half dozen, or even just a few structures to make the overworld feel more alive would be a great way to add to the game and make it feel more like there's exploration for existing players without taking away that, oh, this is the same Minecraft I know and love, which the existing biomes do definitely provide. So I think structures are a great way to make rare, interesting events for people, and I think that they're criminally underused right now, and I think that any update needs to add structure. Whatever is being updated, I think could be improved with the addition of a structure, genuinely, wholeheartedly, just like how I think wholeheartedly a new enchantment system is probably required at this point. Enchanting started as a really basic system in 1.2, and every few updates they go in and they add some new enchantments and then they call it a day, but I think one glance at the enchantment section of the creative inventory will tell you that this is just not okay anymore to have this many items sharing a single texture. So what do you do instead? Well, I'm glad you asked. Rhetorical question in my head. As you can see, this is a really fun way to do it. Just give every single type of book a slightly different color, or given that at this point we have more enchantment types than we have different distinct colors, you could also have a second color on there, and now that's like 256 different color, enchantment types we can mix together. Look how fun this looks. I really do like looking at these books. They look like they, again, it indicates like the main enchantments from the mutually exclusive weird ones, from the curses being entirely different altogether, and they all keep that same book design because you are just enchanting a book effectively. I think you could go a step further and make it so when it's applied to something, you can also see a different enchantment color depending on the enchantment. So flame could give your sword a slight red hue instead of the purple one, but I think that might be going a step too far. So instead I'd say, while we're looking at new enchantments anyway, while we're looking at playing around with the system, why don't we have late game enchantments to help with inventory management? I think that obviously I mentioned before something about like your chest plate could give you more inventory management by making it like bigger in some way or roomier. You could do the same with leggings if you wanted to, or you could have a sword enchantment that burns the drops of mobs that you kill. I don't mean like burns like pork chops into cooked pork chops. I mean literally it will burn rotten flesh, and so no longer do you have to pick this up just because you walk near where you killed a zombie. No longer do you have to pick up string and all of these just nonsense items that you really don't need. I have so many stacks of arrows, Minecraft. Please stop harassing me with the skeletons, which drop them right into my inventory, which then have to be manually removed. And so I think that the easiest thing to do is have an auto furnace or smelt or blazing enchantment for your sword that could turn this into, I think XP is the obvious one, but I'd be happy with anything else. It turns everything into food. It turns everything into iron nuggets. Whatever it is that we could get from mobs, it would be better than getting rotten flesh, which I'm never going to need besides super specific situations, and if I do need it, I just won't use my sword, which has this amazing enchantment on it. I mean, if we really insist, if you want to make more weapon variety, how about you make it an enchantment for the pickaxe? Because this could fit into how you would be burning, let's say you could automatically smelt iron and gold. I think that's a cool enchantment idea by itself, but what if that also automatically burns the drops you get from mobs, and now boom, I've got an excuse to use my pickaxe as a primary weapon. I think that would be cool as well. Just give me some way to get rid of all these drops, or some amount of inventory space to deal with them. This is a whole video rant about inventory spaces. I hope that you enjoy it, by the way. Anyway, so if you do, then maybe you should subscribe, because I do make other videos and I do talk about other things I think this update needs, because obviously I think it goes without saying that we should fix some things from the past as far as decisions go. A whole bunch of miscellaneous things would be, what about the ancient city portal? Can we come back to that? Or what about soul shards? There's a brand new item that only has one recipe right now. Would be cool to add more of those. But another thing that I think is just too important to ignore is performance. Minecraft Bedrock is getting painful. Every Minecraft update needs to fix bugs and it needs to improve performance. Those things go without saying, but we're getting to the stage now where it's getting less and less playable. I've got a pretty high-end gaming PC. I play Minecraft on like 12 chunks of render distance to ensure lack of lag, because otherwise it just doesn't work. I know that it makes sense that as Minecraft gets bigger and better, of course performance is going to dip, but it does feel as though specific updates just take us massively back in time. I mean, the wild update, what was in that update that should deprove in performance by 50+%? Ideally, we could be improving performance every update, or at least trying to stay roughly steady, whereas it feels as though we didn't really pull that off here, and I'd love to see it fixed. Obviously, everyone cares about bugs too. When the game feels like it works correctly, you feel like you can trust it, you feel like you can spend time in it, which is important for a game like Minecraft. It's it's going to be the game that lasts forever, or 100 years, or 10 years. It's going to last a long time, and so if you want to trust a game forever, it needs to not randomly delete your world, as happened to me with my Deep Dark World. It needs to have decent enough performance where you don't feel like you have to upgrade your PC every year to play it. I mean, that's a joke, right? That to say that out loud, Minecraft's the one game you can always run on everything, but I mean, when it comes to the wild update, if you want top-notch performance, maybe not. So yeah, I'd love to see performance improvements on my list of things that 1.20 needs. These are predictions, these are things we need, these are things that I really would love to hear be heard, or at least considered. And yeah, I think every single item on this list, whether it's new enchantments, you can take that so many ways. Inventory management, we need to do sometime. New structures, there's so many different ways to do structures. You can even just alter the existing ones and give more variants of them. But I think we need to do something about all of those. But there's one thing which comes higher than all of those put together. That's right, this is the biggest suggestion I'm going to make in this video. I know it's going to be the hardest to pull off. I know this is so unrealistic to even have a chance of this, but if Mojang goes absolutely crazy, if they improve the tech enough and can make the performance work, maybe, just maybe, we could see blue and yellow dye combinable to make green. Maybe, just maybe. I know I'm going crazy here, but if we could see that, I would find 1.20 to be the biggest success ever. Also, can we have haste potions? Anyway, I hope you all enjoyed this video. Not only does subscribing help me out, and it's something I would appreciate a lot if you did, if you valued this video, but also it'll allow you to see more of these videos daily on your homepage, and so thank you for that, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.